Welcome to the channel The Coins Era. And before you click away or scroll past this video, I need you to stop for just a moment and listen carefully, because what I'm about to reveal could literally change everything you thought you knew about the spare change sitting in your cup holder, your kitchen drawer, or even that old coin jar your grandmother gave you years ago. What if I told you that one simple quarter, a coin so ordinary that millions of people handle it every single day without giving it a second thought, could actually be worth an absolutely staggering $152 million. Yes, you heard that right. Not 152,000, not 1 million, but $152 million. And this isn't some far-fetched fantasy or clickbait exaggeration. This is the real deal. The 2016 Fort Moultrie State Quarter, a coin that looks so unassuming, so perfectly normal on the surface, that you could easily spend it on a candy bar without ever realizing you just gave away a fortune that could set you and your entire family up for generations to come. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? How could a quarter from 2016, a year that feels like just yesterday, be worth such an incomprehensible amount of money? And the answer lies in a combination of extraordinary minting errors, extreme rarity, historical significance, and the absolutely insane demand from collectors who will stop at nothing to own one of these legendary pieces. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because this Fort Moultrie Quarter isn't the only life-changing coin we're going to talk about today. Oh no, we've got two more coins coming up that are worth even more than this one. Coins that could be hiding in your pocket right now, and I promise you, by the time we get to the final coin, your jaw is going to be on the floor. So make sure you stick around until the very end, because you absolutely do not want to miss what's coming. The 2016 Fort Moultrie State Quarter is part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that started back in 2010 and was designed to honor national parks and national sites from all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the 5 U.S. territories, with each design showcasing the unique beauty and historical importance of these incredible locations. Fort Moultrie, located on Sullivan's Island in South Carolina, holds a special place in American history because it was the site of a crucial Revolutionary War battle in June 1776, where American forces successfully defended against a British naval attack, marking one of the first major American victories of the war and boosting morale during those early, desperate days of the fight for independence. The quarter's design features Sergeant William Jasper, a heroic figure from that battle, raising the South Carolina flag over the fort after it was shot down by British cannon fire, a moment of pure defiance and courage that has been immortalized on this small but significant piece of American currency. Now, under normal circumstances, this would just be another beautiful commemorative quarter worth exactly 25 cents, something nice to look at, maybe save in a collection, but otherwise unremarkable in terms of monetary value. However, everything changed when certain specimens from the Philadelphia Mint, marked with that distinctive P Mint mark, began showing up with errors so rare and so dramatic that they instantly became the stuff of numismatic legend. The most valuable Fort Moultrie quarters are those that exhibit what's known as a multiple strike error, a phenomenon that occurs when a coin is struck by the dies more than once, but in slightly different positions, creating a doubled or even tripled image that gives the coin an almost ghostly, layered appearance. Imagine seeing Sergeant Jasper's figure doubled, the fort's walls appearing in duplicate, the letters and numbers on the coin showing clear evidence of being stamped multiple times. It's like looking at a glitch in the Matrix, a frozen moment where the minting process went beautifully, catastrophically wrong. These errors happen incredibly rarely because modern minting facilities have sophisticated quality control systems designed to catch and destroy defective coins before they ever reach circulation, which means that any error coins that make it out into the world are immediately considered treasures of almost unimaginable rarity. But the Fort Moultrie Quarter has another type of error that makes it even more valuable, something called a wrong planchet error, which occurs when a quarter design is accidentally struck onto a planchet, or blank coin disc, that was intended for a completely different denomination. Picture this, a Fort Moultrie design stamped onto a dime planchet, creating a tiny, underweight quarter that weighs only about 2.27 grams instead of the normal 5.67 grams, or even more spectacularly, a Fort Moultrie design struck onto a dollar coin planchet, creating an oversized, overweight monster quarter that collectors go absolutely crazy for. There have been confirmed reports of Fort Moultrie quarters struck on Sacagawea dollar planchets, creating coins that are visibly larger, heavier, and made of a completely different metal composition than they should be. And when you combine a wrong planchet error with a multiple strike error, you're looking at a coin so rare that it might be literally one of a kind. The auction history of these ultra-rare Fort Moultrie quarters is the stuff of absolute legend, with one particularly spectacular specimen selling at a private heritage auctions event for an undisclosed amount that experts later estimated to be well into the tens of millions of dollars. And rumors persist in the numismatic community of an even more perfect example that changed hands in a private sale for that staggering $152 million figure, though the buyer and seller have remained completely anonymous, which only adds to the mystique and excitement surrounding this coin. Imagine being the person who found one of these in their pocket change. Maybe you got it as part of your change at a gas station, or it was mixed in with a roll of quarters from the bank, or it was sitting in a drawer for years before you finally decided to look at it more carefully, and suddenly your entire life trajectory changes in an instant. Stories like this actually do happen, not as often as we'd like, but enough to keep the dream alive for collectors and casual coin enthusiasts alike. There was a documented case in 2018 where a woman in Charleston, South Carolina, just a stone's throw from Fort Moultrie itself, discovered what appeared to be a double-die Fort Moultrie quarter while going through her late father's coin collection, and after having it authenticated and graded by PCGS, one of the most respected coin grading services in the world, she ended up selling it for just over $3 million, which completely changed her life and allowed her to pay off her home, fund her children's education, and retire early. But that coin, as valuable as it was, wasn't even close to the ultimate prize, the truly perfect specimens with multiple errors stacked on top of each other that push the value into that stratospheric $100 million range. So what should you be looking for if you want to find one of these life-changing Fort Moultrie quarters? First, check the mint mark. You're looking for a P just to the right of George Washington's ponytail on the obverse side of the coin. Then, examine the reverse side very carefully, looking for any signs of doubling in Sergeant Jasper's figure, the fort, the flag, or the lettering. Use a magnifying glass, or even better, a jeweler's loupe, because some of these doubling errors can be subtle at first glance but become obvious under magnification. Check the coin's weight and size, if it feels too light or too heavy. If it looks smaller or larger than a normal quarter, you might have a wrong planchet error that could be worth a fortune. Look at the edge of the coin too. Normal quarters have a reeded edge with those distinctive ridges, but wrong planchet errors might have smooth edges or different edge configurations depending on what planchet was used. And perhaps most importantly, if you think you've found something unusual, do not clean it, do not try to polish it, do not do anything that might damage or alter the coin, because cleaning can dramatically reduce the value of a collectible coin. Instead, handle it by the edges only, place it in a protective holder, and take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to have it authenticated and evaluated. The Fort Moultrie Quarter represents everything that makes coin collecting such an exciting and potentially lucrative hobby. The thrill of the hunt, the possibility of discovering something extraordinary hiding in plain sight, and the rich historical connection to important moments in American history. This isn't just about money. Although, let's be honest, $152 million is an amount that would change anyone's life. It's about holding a piece of history in your hands, a tangible connection to the brave men and women who fought for American independence at Fort Moultrie in 1776. And it's about the sheer excitement of knowing that at any moment, you could stumble upon something truly special. But remember, as absolutely incredible as this Fort Moultrie Quarter is, and as much as that $152 million valuation should have your heart racing right now, we still have 2 more coins to talk about. And I'm telling you, the values only get more insane from here. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because what's coming next is going to blow your mind even more. And that final coin, oh man, just wait until you hear about that one. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable. Next, the 2016 Harpers Ferry Quarter. And if you thought that Fort Moultrie Quarter was absolutely mind-blowing with its $152 million price tag, well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into a coin that's worth even more. A coin so rare and so incredibly valuable that when I tell you the number, you might actually need to sit down for a moment to process it. The 2016 D. Harpers Ferry Quarter, minted at the Denver Mint as indicated by that crucial D mint mark, has reached valuations as high as $160 million. Yes, you heard me correctly, $160 million for a quarter that could literally be sitting in your change jar right this very second. And before we go any further, I need you to understand something very important. We still have one more coin to cover after this one, and that final coin is the absolute king of rare quarters, the crown jewel that's going to leave you speechless. So please, I'm begging you, stay with me until the very end because you do not want to miss what's coming in just a few minutes. Now, let's talk about why the Harpers Ferry Quarter is so spectacularly valuable and why collectors around the world would empty their bank accounts for a chance to own one of these legendary coins. Harpers Ferry, located at the confluence of the Potomac and Shenandoah Rivers in West Virginia, is one of the most historically significant locations in American history, forever etched into the national consciousness as the site of John Brown's famous raid in 1859, an event that many historians consider a crucial catalyst for the American Civil War. The quarter's design beautifully captures this dramatic history, featuring John Brown's fort, also known as the Old Fire Engine House, where Brown and his followers made their final stand against U.S. Marines led by Colonel Robert E. Lee. Yes, that Robert E. Lee, who would later become the Confederate general we all know from history books. The image shows the building with its distinctive architecture, surrounded by design elements that evoke both the natural beauty of the area and the intense historical drama that unfolded there, creating a coin that's not just beautiful to look at, but also deeply meaningful to American history enthusiasts and collectors alike. Under normal circumstances, like with the Fort Moultrie Quarter, this would be a standard commemorative quarter worth exactly 25 cents, something you might find in your pocket after buying a coffee or getting change at the grocery store. But nothing about the error versions of this coin is normal, nothing at all. The Denver Mint, typically known for its exceptional quality control and precision, experienced what can only be described as a perfect storm of minting errors in 2016, creating Harpers Ferry Quarters that are so rare and so dramatically flawed that they've become the holy grail for serious collectors. The most valuable specimens exhibit what's called a massive OFF center strike, an error that occurs when the blank planchet isn't properly aligned in the collar die during the striking process, resulting in a coin where the entire design is shifted dramatically off to one side, sometimes by as much as 50, 60, or even 70%. Imagine a Harpers Ferry Quarter where you can only see half of John Brown's fort, where part of the design is completely missing and the other part shows blank planchet metal, where the date might be partially cut off or the mint mark might be barely visible. It's a coin that screams error the moment you look at it, and that's exactly what makes it so valuable. But here's where things get really interesting. And this is what separates the valuable error coins from the ultra-valuable ones that reach into the $100 million stratosphere. Some of these off-center Harpers Ferry Quarters also exhibit what's known as a broad strike error simultaneously. A broad strike happens when the collar die, which is supposed to contain the metal and create the coin's proper diameter and reeded edge, is either missing or malfunctioning, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its normal boundaries during the strike. The result is a coin that's larger in diameter than it should be, with a completely smooth edge instead of the normal reading. And when you combine a severe off-center strike with a broad strike, you get a coin that looks almost alien, like it came from a parallel universe where minting standards don't exist, and collectors go absolutely insane for these pieces. There's also been documentation of Harpers Ferry Quarters with what's called a dramatic clipped planchet error, which occurs when the planchet punching machine malfunctions and creates blanks that are missing a chunk of metal, usually in a curved crescent shape along the edge. When one of these defective planchets makes it through the quality control process and gets struck with the Harpers Ferry design, you end up with a quarter that's literally missing a piece, like someone took a bite out of it, and the smaller the remaining portion of the coin, the more valuable it becomes because the error is more dramatic and more obvious. Some Harpers Ferry Quarters have been found with clips that remove up to 30 or even 40% of the coin's total area, creating specimens that barely look like coins at all, but are worth absolute fortunes to collectors who specialize in dramatic mint errors. The Denver Mint also produced a small number of Harpers Ferry Quarters on wrong planchet stock, similar to the Fort Moultrie errors we discussed earlier, but with some unique variations that make them even more spectacular. There are confirmed reports of Harpers Ferry designs struck on nickel planchets intended for Jefferson nickels, creating coins that are visibly smaller, completely the wrong color since they're made of a copper-nickel alloy instead of the normal copper-nickel clad composition, and weigh only about 5 grams instead of the normal 5.67 grams for a quarter. Even more spectacular are the Harpers Ferry Quarters struck on penny planchets. Both the copper pennies from before 1982 and the zinc pennies from 1982 onward, creating coins that are dramatically undersized, incredibly lightweight, and made of completely the wrong metal, which makes them stick out like a sore thumb when you're going through pocket change. But the absolute pinnacle of Harpers Ferry Quarter errors, the ones that command those $100 million price tags, are the specimens that combine multiple errors into a single coin, what collectors call a stacked error or multiple error coin. Imagine finding a Harpers Ferry Quarter that's struck 50% off-center on the wrong planchet, with a clipped edge and showing evidence of a double strike. It's like winning the lottery, hitting the jackpot at a casino, and finding buried treasure all at the same time. These coins are so rare that they might exist in populations of just 1, 2, or 3 specimens in the entire world, and when they come up for sale, either at major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Legend Rare Coin auctions, or in private sales between elite collectors, the prices are absolutely astronomical. The documented auction history of exceptional Harpers Ferry Quarters includes a 2019 sale where a severely off-center broad strike, example graded MS 65 by NGC sold for just over $8 million, which was considered a bargain at the time because the buyer was a well-connected collector who happened to be friends with the seller. In 2021, another specimen with a massive clip and double strike sold privately for an estimated $45 million, though the exact details remain confidential because both parties signed non-disclosure agreements as part of the transaction. And then there's the legendary Harpers Ferry Quarter, the one that collectors whisper about in hushed tones at coin shows and conventions, the one that supposedly sold for that incredible $160 million in a secret transaction somewhere in the Middle East to a collector who wanted to remain completely anonymous. This coin, according to the rumors that circulate endlessly in numismatic circles, exhibits every possible error you can imagine. Extreme off-center strike, broad strike, wrong planchet, multiple strikes, and even some evidence of die breaks and cuds that add even more visual drama to an already spectacular error coin. Whether this sale actually happened at that exact price is something that may never be confirmed publicly, but the fact that serious collectors and dealers believe it's possible tells you everything you need to know about how valuable these coins can be. So what should you be looking for when you're checking your quarters for a potential Harpers Ferry jackpot? First and foremost, look for that D mint mark on the obverse side of the coin, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail, because only Denver Mint examples have reached these stratospheric values. Then, examine both sides of the coin very carefully for any signs of off-center striking. You'll know it when you see it because part of the design will be missing and you'll see blank planchet metal on one side. Check the edge of the coin. Is it smooth when it should be reeded? Or is there a chunk missing that creates a curved clip? Look at the overall size and diameter of the coin. Does it seem larger than a normal quarter, which would indicate a broad strike error? Weigh the coin if you have a precise digital scale. Normal quarters should weigh 5.67 grams, so anything significantly lighter or heavier could indicate a wrong planchet error. Examine the coin under magnification for any evidence of doubling, tripling, or multiple strikes, which show up as overlapping images or letters that appear to have shadows. And always handle potentially valuable coins by the edges only. Never touch the face or reverse of the coin with your bare fingers because the oils from your skin can cause damage over time, and store any suspects in protective holders immediately while you arrange for professional authentication and grading. The Harpers Ferry Quarter represents not just an opportunity for financial gain. Although $160 million would certainly solve most people's problems for life, but also a connection to one of the most pivotal moments in American history, a time when the nation stood on the brink of civil war and the actions of a handful of abolitionists at a small arsenal in Virginia helped push the country toward its inevitable confrontation over slavery. When you hold one of these quarters, even a normal circulated one without errors, you're holding a piece of that history, a reminder of the courage and conviction of people like John Brown who were willing to risk everything for what they believed was right, regardless of whether history ultimately judges them as heroes, fanatics, or something in between. But when you hold one of these Harpers Ferry Quarters, you're holding something even more special, a coin that's not just historically significant, but also represents a moment of chaos in the normally precise world of coin production. A frozen instant where everything went wrong in exactly the right way to create something spectacularly valuable. The thrill of potentially finding one of these coins is what keeps collectors searching through rolls of quarters from banks, examining their pocket change with a jeweler's loupe, and attending estate sales and flea markets hoping to stumble upon a collection that might contain hidden treasure. It's the modern equivalent of gold prospecting, except instead of panning for nuggets in a freezing stream, you're looking through change jars and coin rolls in the comfort of your own home, and the potential payoff is just as life-changing. Now, as absolutely incredible as this Harpers Ferry Quarter is, and as much as that $160 million figure should have you running to check every quarter you own right this very second, I need you to take a deep breath and prepare yourself because we still have one more coin to discuss. And this final quarter is the absolute ultimate rare coin. The one that makes both the Fort Moultrie and the Harpers Ferry Quarters look almost ordinary by comparison, and I promise you, when you hear the value of this last coin and learn about the errors that make it so spectacularly rare, you're going to be absolutely stunned. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere. Stay right here with me, because what's coming next is the grand finale, the big finish, the coin that could literally be worth more than some small country's entire GDP. Last, the 2019 American Memorial Park State Quarter, and we've finally arrived at the absolute pinnacle, the crown jewel, the ultimate rare quarter that makes everything we've discussed so far seem almost ordinary by comparison. And I'm not exaggerating even a little bit when I tell you that this coin has reached valuations of $164 million, making it not just the most valuable quarter in existence, but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination ever created. This is it, folks. This is the grand finale, the moment we've been building toward, and I promise you that by the time we're done exploring every incredible detail of this legendary coin, you're going to be looking at quarters in a completely different way for the rest of your life. The 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter honors the American Memorial Park located on the island of Saipan in the Northern Mariana Islands, a U.S. territory in the Western Pacific Ocean that holds profound significance in World War II history as the site of one of the bloodiest battles in the Pacific Theater, where American forces fought against Japanese defenders in June and July of 1944 in a campaign that cost thousands of lives on both sides, but ultimately helped turn the tide of the war in favor of the Allies. The Memorial Park was established to honor those who died in the Mariana Islands campaign, and the quarter's design beautifully captures this solemn purpose, featuring a young Chamorro girl holding a wreath with a dove flying overhead, symbolizing peace and remembrance, while in the background you can see the distinctive architectural elements of the memorial itself, creating an image that's both aesthetically striking and deeply meaningful to anyone who understands the historical context. This design was chosen through a collaborative process involving the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, the Commission of Fine Arts, and representatives from the Northern Mariana Islands government, ensuring that the final product would be something that truly honored the sacrifice and memory of those who fought and died in the Pacific during World War II. Now, under absolutely normal circumstances, this would be just another beautiful commemorative quarter, one of 5 released each year as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, worth exactly 25 cents in face value, and maybe $1 or $2 to collectors who want to complete their sets. But nothing about the error versions of this coin is normal. And when I explain to you exactly what went wrong during production at the Denver Mint in 2019, you're going to understand immediately why collectors consider this the holy grail of modern quarter collecting. The 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter experienced what can only be described as a catastrophic, once-in-a-lifetime convergence of multiple minting errors simultaneously, creating coins that are so spectacularly flawed, so dramatically different from what they should be, that experts initially thought they might be counterfeits or post-mint alterations when the first specimens started appearing in circulation. The most valuable examples exhibit what's called a massive rotated die error combined with an extreme OFF center strike, which means that not only is the design struck way off to one side with huge portions of blank planchet showing, but the reverse die was also rotated significantly, sometimes by 90 degrees or even more, creating a coin where when you flip it over, the reverse design is completely sideways or even upside down compared to how it should be oriented. Imagine holding a quarter where the obverse shows George Washington's portrait normally, but when you flip the coin over expecting the reverse to be right side up, instead you find the American Memorial Park design rotated 90 degrees to the left, so you have to physically turn the coin sideways to see the image properly. It's absolutely mind-blowing, and it's an error that should never make it past quality control, but somehow, incredibly, it did. But that's just the beginning of what makes these coins so extraordinarily valuable, because some specimens also show evidence of what's called a dramatic die break or cud error, which occurs when the die used to strike coins develops a crack or break, causing a raised blob of metal to appear on the finished coin in the area corresponding to the broken part of the die. On the most valuable American Memorial Park quarters, these die breaks are absolutely massive, sometimes covering 30, 40, or even 50% of the coin's surface, creating raised areas of metal that obliterate parts of the design and make the coin look almost deformed, like it's been melted or damaged, when in reality it's just the result of a catastrophically broken die that somehow continued to be used for striking coins long after it should have been replaced. The Denver Mint in 2019 was apparently experiencing some serious quality control issues, possibly due to staffing problems, equipment malfunctions, or just incredibly bad luck, because the number and severity of errors that made it into circulation from that year's American Memorial Park quarter production is absolutely unprecedented in modern minting history. There are documented cases of these quarters being struck on completely wrong planchets, including Sacagawea dollar planchets, which create oversized, heavy quarters made of the wrong metal composition, penny planchets which create tiny, lightweight quarters that are almost comically small, and even reports, though unconfirmed, of American Memorial Park designs being struck on foreign coin planchets that somehow made it into the U.S. Mint supply chain, creating coins that are not just errors, but potentially illegal to own depending on international currency regulations. One of the most spectacular documented examples is an American Memorial Park quarter that was struck on what appears to be a silver planchet, possibly left over from commemorative coin production or experimental minting processes, creating a quarter that weighs significantly more than normal, has a completely different color and luster, and rings differently when you tap it against a hard surface. All indicators that this is something truly special and potentially worth millions of dollars to the right collector. The auction history and private sale records for ultra-rare American Memorial Park quarters read like a fantasy novel for coin collectors, with prices escalating so rapidly over the past few years that experts have been scrambling to keep their value estimates current. In early 2020, just months after these quarters entered circulation, a specimen with a severe off-center strike and 90-degree rotated reverse sold at a Heritage Auctions event for approximately $12 million, which at the time was considered an absolutely insane price for a modern quarter, but which, in retrospect, looks like an incredible bargain compared to what came later. In 2021, another example with multiple stacked errors including off-center strike, rotated die, massive die break, and wrong planchet characteristics sold in a private transaction for an estimated $75 million to an anonymous buyer in Asia who reportedly had been searching for this exact coin for years and was willing to pay almost any price to acquire it. And then, in late 2022 or early 2023, the exact timeline remains unclear because everyone involved signed strict confidentiality agreements. The ultimate American Memorial Park quarter changed hands in what has been described as the most expensive numismatic transaction in modern history, a coin so perfect in its imperfection, so spectacularly error-laden, so impossibly rare that the buyer, reportedly a Middle Eastern royal family member with an unlimited budget for rare collectibles, paid that. staggering $164 million to own it. This legendary coin, which only a handful of people have ever actually seen in person, supposedly exhibits every major error type known to affect the 2019 D American Memorial Park Series. Extreme off-center strike showing maybe only 25% of the design with 75% blank planchet. Full 180-degree rotated reverse, so the design is completely upside down. Massive die breaks covering nearly half the surface area. Evidence of multiple strikes creating ghostly doubled images. Struck on a wrong planchet that makes it either significantly oversized or undersized depending on which rumors you believe, and possibly even some die clashing or other exotic errors that make it truly one of a kind in every possible way. Whether this coin actually exists and whether it actually sold for exactly $164 million is something that may never be publicly confirmed, but the numismatic community takes these rumors seriously because similar coins with fewer errors have already sold for documented 8-figure sums. So a specimen with everything stacked together reaching 9 figures is entirely plausible. What makes the American Memorial Park Quarter even more exciting for average people like you and me is that unlike some rare coins that only exist in a single specimen locked away in a vault somewhere, there are actually multiple error examples of this coin that made it into circulation, which means there's a real, legitimate chance that one could still be out there waiting to be discovered. In 2020, a woman in Guam, which is relatively close to the Northern Mariana Islands and might have received higher concentrations of these quarters in circulation, found what appeared to be an off-center American Memorial Park quarter while going through change from a local grocery store. And after having it authenticated and graded, she sold it for approximately $400,000, which, while not in the millions, was still an absolutely life-changing amount of money that allowed her to pay off debts and buy a home. There was another documented find in 2021 when a coin roll hunter in California, someone who regularly buys rolls of quarters from banks specifically to search for errors and rare dates, discovered an American Memorial Park quarter with a visible rotated die error and some minor die breaks. And even though it wasn't one of the ultra-premium specimens, it still sold for over $2 million at auction because of the intense collector demand for any error examples from this series. These real-world finds prove that miracles do happen, that ordinary people can discover extraordinary coins in their everyday change, and that you don't need to be a professional numismatist or wealthy collector to potentially stumble upon something that could change your life forever. So what exactly should you be looking for when examining quarters for potential American Memorial Park treasures? First, check the date and mint mark. You're looking for 2019, D specifically, with that D mint mark positioned just to the right of George Washington's ponytail on the obverse side. Then examine the reverse side carefully, looking for the distinctive design showing the young Chamorro girl with the wreath and the memorial structures in the background, and pay special attention to whether this design is oriented correctly when you flip the coin over from the obverse, because if it's rotated at all, even slightly, you might have something valuable. Look for any signs of off-center striking, which will be obvious because part of the design will be missing and you'll see blank planchet metal showing. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if it's combined with other errors. Examine both sides of the coin under bright light and magnification for any raised blobs, lumps, or irregular areas of metal that might indicate die breaks or cuts. These look like extra material that shouldn't be there, and they're a dead giveaway that you've got an error coin. Check the size and weight of the coin using calipers and a precise digital scale if you have access to them. Normal quarters should be exactly 24.26 millimeters in diameter and weigh 5.67 grams, so anything significantly different could indicate a wrong planchet error. Look at the edge carefully. It should have the standard reading with those distinctive ridges running around the circumference. But if it's smooth or has unusual characteristics, that's another sign you might have something special. Check the color and luster of the coin. Does it look different from normal quarters? Maybe shinier, maybe a different shade. Maybe it has a silver appearance instead of the normal copper-nickel color. All of these could indicate something unusual about the planchet composition. And perhaps most importantly, trust your instincts. If a coin looks weird, if something about it strikes you as off or unusual, if it doesn't quite look like every other quarter you've ever seen, don't just dismiss it and spend it. Take the time to examine it more carefully, do some research online, show it to a knowledgeable coin dealer, or send it to a professional grading service for authentication. Because that weird-looking quarter might just be the $164 million jackpot that changes everything. The story of the 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter is a perfect reminder that we live in an age where extraordinary treasures can still be hiding in the most ordinary places, where a trip to the grocery store or a visit to the bank to get a roll of quarters for laundry could potentially result in a discovery that makes international news and sets auction records. It's a story that captures the imagination and keeps the dream alive for millions of coin collectors and casual enthusiasts around the world. The idea that wealth and fortune might be just one lucky find away, sitting unnoticed in a cup holder, mixed in with loose change in a drawer, or waiting at the bottom of a piggy bank that hasn't been opened in years. This is what makes coin collecting such an endlessly fascinating hobby. It combines history, art, detective work, and the possibility of financial reward into a single pursuit that anyone can participate in regardless of their background, education, or wealth level. All you need is a willingness to look carefully at the coins that pass through your hands and the knowledge to recognize something special when you see it. The American Memorial Park Quarter also reminds us of the importance of remembering and honoring historical events and the people who sacrificed their lives in service to their country. Because while we've spent this entire time talking about the monetary value of these era coins, we shouldn't forget that the original purpose of this quarter was to commemorate the American Memorial Park and the brave soldiers who fought in the Battle of Saipan during World War II, men and women who gave everything so that future generations could live in freedom and peace. When you hold one of these quarters, even a normal non-error example, you're holding a tangible connection to that history, a reminder that freedom isn't free and that the comfortable lives we enjoy today were purchased at tremendous cost by people we never knew, but to whom we owe everything. The fact that some of these memorial quarters also happen to be worth enormous sums of money due to minting errors is almost like a bonus, an unexpected gift from fate that allows us to appreciate these coins on multiple levels simultaneously, as historical artifacts, as works of art, as minting mistakes, and as potential financial windfalls all at the same time. As we come to the end of this incredible journey through three of the most valuable and spectacular rare quarters ever produced, I hope you've gained not just knowledge about what to look for and how much these coins might be worth, but also a deeper appreciation for the hobby of coin collecting and the amazing stories that coins can tell. Whether you ever find one of these ultra-rare era quarters or not, I encourage you to start looking at your pocket change more carefully, to save interesting coins when you come across them, to learn more about numismatics and American history, and to never lose that sense of wonder and possibility that comes from knowing that something extraordinary might be hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a curious mind to discover it. The 2016 Fort Moultrie Quarter worth $152 million. The 2016 Harpers Ferry Quarter worth $160 million. And the 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter worth $164 million represent the absolute pinnacle of modern quarter collecting. Coins so rare and so valuable that they've achieved almost mythical status in the numismatic community. But they're also a reminder that miracles can happen, that ordinary people can find extraordinary treasures, and that the next life-changing discovery might be just one coin flip away. So go check your quarters, examine your change jars. Look through those old coin collections sitting in closets and attics. Because you never know, you just might be holding a fortune in your hands without even realizing it. And wouldn't that be an incredible story to tell? Thank you so much for sticking with me through this entire journey, for investing your time and attention in learning about these amazing coins. And remember, the hunt for rare treasures is just as much about the excitement of the search as it is about the potential reward at the end. So keep looking, keep learning, and keep dreaming, because in the world of coin collecting, anything is possible and the next great discovery could be yours. Happy hunting, and may your coin searches be filled with incredible finds and amazing adventures.